We begin our Anzac ceremony today by acknowledging the Gundungurra people who are the traditional custodians of this land. It is upon their ancestral land that Moss Vale High School is built. I would also like to pay respects to elders past and present of the Gundungurra Nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people watching today. Good morning and welcome to all our staff, students and their families and guests watching today's Anzac ceremony. At this special ceremony, we will remember the great sacrifices made by Australians in wartime. Anzac Day, the 25th of April, is probably Australia's most important national occasion. It marks the anniversary of the day back in 1915, when Australian and New Zealand soldiers began their service in the First World War with a landing at Anzac Cove in Turkey. The word Anzac stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. The soldiers in those forces quickly became known as simply Anzacs, and the pride they took in that name lasts to this day. In 1916, only a year into the First World War, the very first Anzac Day services were held on the 25th of April. That day was marked by a wide variety of ceremonies and services across Australia, a march through London, and a sports day in the Australian military camp in Egypt. In London, more than 2,000 Australian and New Zealand troops marched through the streets. A London newspaper headline of that year called the Anzacs the Knights of Gallipoli.
The first day to be called Anzac Day was October 13th, 1915, and occurred in Adelaide as a replacement for the 8-hour day holiday, a forerunner of Labor Day and already a public holiday. This event was more of a patriotic carnival designed to raise awareness of and funds for the war effort that the solemn commemoration it was to become. Anzac Day as we know it was first observed on the 25th of April 1916, as people came together to honour those at Gallipoli. In Australia, some state governments organised events to commemorate the occasion, but the Commonwealth, other than naming the day as Anzac Day, did not. By the late 1920s, Anzac Day was a public holiday in every state and territory. In the 1930s, there was rhetoric about the need to pass the Anzac spirit down to the next generation. This was partly politically motivated, as there was a feeling that people needed stealing for another war. In the Second World War, the sons of the Anzacs were welcomed, and the day now honoured veterans of all wars. But despite greater numbers of veterans, by the 1960s, its popularity had waned, and many wondered if Anzac Day would survive. The resurgence started in the 1980s and the 1990s. The RSL had been slow to welcome others, notably those who did not serve overseas, including most ex-servicewomen and veterans of the small wars. With a younger leadership, it has relaxed the rules to be more inclusive. Governments have reinforced the day's significance with commemorative programs that reach out to the community. Australia is a peaceful country, but the world has been troubled with many bitter conflicts in the past 100 years. These wars have had many causes, and Australia's reasons for becoming involved have also been different. But the reality of wars is that they are fought by ordinary people who are often injured or killed. The impact of this massive loss of lives was felt not just across battlefields and the armies that occupied them, but also across the different generations of families waiting at home for the safe return of their fathers, brothers, and sons.
When 1914 began, he was working on the land with his mum and dad. He left behind his girl, joined up to see the world and make his mother sad. He made it through the war and came back to town to help his father work the fields and rebuild his life somehow. And everybody called him the Anzac. That's still what they call him now. He set his mind to stay when his father passed away and the rivers ran dry. He said, I'll take care of your mum. I fought before and won. We can win this fight. And all alone he'd work all day until he dropped, until the place got back to best. He didn't stop. There were times he thought it'd been forgotten, but every night at 6 o'clock there he'd stand for that man they called the Anzac, and those who gave their lives for us. They'd stand for that man they called the Anzac, for fighting for the land he loved. Same time every year we all remember him. The crack of dawn we stand as one for all our fallen friends. So drink to that man we call the Anzac. We will remember him. So stand for that man they call the Anzac, and those who gave their lives for us. Let's stand for that man they called the Anzac, fighting for the land he loved. So stand for that man they called the Anzac, for fighting for the land he loved. We will remember them.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning we will remember them, lest we forget.
We will now observe a minute of silence as a tribute to the dead of war.
Caitlin Miller of Year 12 will now perform their national anthem. If you would like to join her, please be upstanding wherever you are as we sing it together. Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair. That concludes Moss Vale High School's Anzac ceremony for 2020. We wish everyone watching a safe Anzac Day.
I hear the trumpet calling as clear as a bell, sounding over bloody fields, so many young men fell. At the dawn we honor them, each and every one, lest you be forgotten, our brave Australians. I am every Australian who answered freedom's call to leave their homes and loved ones and fight on foreign shores. At Gallipoli and Lone Pine their legend was begun. I am the unknown soldier, I am Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. Your sons and your daughters are now marching by your side. They carry your battle flags and say your names with pride. Your courage and your mateship in all of us lives on. I am the Anzac spirit, I am Australian. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian.